Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. Got a special Wednesday afternoon edition, a special Behind Enemy Lines edition. I'm excited to welcome back to the show Curtis from @NutTreeTV on Twitter and X. He's big on spaces there. And he also has a Twitch channel as well that is in the description for the show. But Curtis, how are you doing on this fine hump day?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've been going at it for a long time on the timeline. Curtis, of course, is a big Chiefs fan, and I obviously am a big 49ers fan. And so as soon as everything got set, I was like, man, we gotta fire it up and stream again and get him back on here. I'm gonna go ahead and put up a banner. If there's anything wrong with that, let me know. I should have done that before the show. But anyway, it's exciting. You know, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with the media, a lot of interesting questions being asked, and then some really stupid ones too. I just like to say, like, I've been noticing it on the timeline too. Like Super Bowl week kind of brings out the super casuals. Like there's like all of a sudden there's all these people who want to sound like experts. I'm like, you haven't talked about this in a year. I can tell because you have no clue what you're talking about. But you know, that's all right. I mean, you know, and just because they're not real active doesn't mean they can't be right. But some of the takes are just tragic, I would say. But let's see here. We got a few folks here in the audience. Let's say hi to them. Got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the house saying yo. Everyone make sure you check out his channel. He is another content creator, and he is a Rams fan, but he's pretty cool. We got Jimmy Perez in the house saying, what's up, Ted? What's up, Jimmy? Welcome. Got James Durnall in the house coming to us from across the pond over in Great Britain. Says our boys have got the power. They've got the self-belief. We Niners have no fear. There's passion and belief more and more. Purdy keeps on scoring more and more. He's got the bars. So I guess he's singing that right now. Well, you know, I mean, I think it's good to believe in yourself. I think it's different coming back to the Super Bowl the second time than the first time when you're just kind of have stars in your eyes. And I think we've been on a little more of a mission this year. But that won't get rid of old Patrick Mahomes. And he's, you know, the best quarterback in the NFL, pretty much unanimous opinion there. Purdy's on fire. Your defense is terrified because Purdy's on fire. No. I don't know. I think their defense is probably more afraid of CMC right now than Purdy. But what do you think, Curtis?
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that assessment. I don't think Purdy's got anybody shaken over in our camp, but the prospect of facing CMC in this offense is pretty daunting, I think.
Yeah, they were showing Dan Orlovsky was showing some technically it's 12 formation because Juszczyk starts out in the backfield with CMC, but and you have Warner and Kittle on one side, and then Juice splits out to the other side. So it ends up being 13 personnel. And I said something like that. I quote tweeted it and said, you know, 12 personnel, but when Juice is in line, it feels more like 13. And he replied to me, and I was like, oh wow. I mean, I know you've had, you know, you've been on with like I was name, the guy from ESPN, the big guy.
Rich Eisen?
Rich Eisen, yeah, huge. Who I hold in very high esteem too. I think Rich Eisen is very smart, and he's not like one of these like Colin Cowherd, you know, Skip Sayless type of people who just say things to say things. I feel like he has a lot more substance to him. I love Rich Eisen a lot. You know, except for when he says something I disagree with, but but a lot of times I do agree with him. Is what I'm trying to say, and I don't feel like he's just like a pure clickbait, say anything to get clicks, and then reverse course the next week or whenever the stream changes a flow or whatever.
I like that he says what he believes, and I don't think there really anybody can question that.
Yeah, I agree. Randy Elite Daytona, Elite AF, MF, MV Purdy. So he put that elite in his title when he started calling Brock Purdy elite. It was a while back. I'm getting close to saying it, but I still am hesitant. I think Purdy had played at some elite levels this season, but then there were some times where he wasn't really at an elite level. And that I just think those times are a little too close together and a little too variable. Like, I mean, you can not play your best, but I felt like there was a pretty big drop off. Like, for instance, when we lost Debo and Trent Williams, and then also obviously against the Ravens. So I don't know. We'll see. I have excuses to explain all that stuff away, but Philly Special in the house. This is a little spongy. He has his own YouTube channel too, so make sure you check him out. He said, I consider close games as rivalries. 40 Winers fans just remember 31-17. So I don't know if you saw this, but Debo came out recently and said, I don't consider the Eagles a rival because rivals have close games. And they blew us out in the NFC Championship game. Yeah, don't forget the part where Purdy tore his arm off in the fifth play from on our offense. And then we obviously smoked them in the regular season so badly that they didn't even want to make it to us, so they ducked out with the Bucks. But I disagree with Debo. I do think Eagles-Niners is a rivalry. As long as the Eagles, are a playoff contending team or Super Bowl contending team, then I think it's a rivalry. I think, they're arguably still up there with the Lions and the Cowboys, the best other teams in the NFC, not named San Francisco 49ers. James Jernal was saying, don't spoil my song. Yeah, if I try and sing it, it's spoiled. My apologies. My Jinx jersey ashes. We got this one. Oh, yeah, he was wearing someone's jersey, and we were losing, and so he burned it I think it was during the Ravens game. So James Jernal is willing to go to the extremes of burning jerseys to ensure good luck to erase jinxes. So speaking of jinxes, it was DG, right? Who was on the other day? No, it was Chuck. Bad luck Chuck, who was on. And he left the Texans game, and that's when the Chiefs came back, and he got on ESPN and all over national media because he recorded himself leaving the stadium, and then they had this epic comeback against us. The year it was 2019. That was when you guys beat us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in the Super
yeah.
Bowl.
I actually got that follow back after I got off the show off the show, and
He claimed he wasn't going to do it live, but he caved. I love it. That's good.
but he's a good dude, and I'm wondering if maybe getting that follow before this game was bad juju for the upcoming Super Bowl for the Chiefs. That might have just changed something in the whole sports force of the world.
Oh, interesting. Well, I always just say, Curtis, you never get anything unless you ask for it. And so, you asked for it, you got it. I'm proud of you. I don't think that alone is going to upset the sports balance of the Super Bowl, but you never know. In a close game, could be the tiniest little thing could do it for sure. Randy says Niners will be winning by so much, so we're putting Sam Darnold in for the fourth quarter. I'd say don't bet your rent money, Randy. Don't bet your rent money. I don't think either team will run away with this. I think it'll be close. My predictions have been all over the place. I said 24-21 Niners, and then I lowered it because I didn't want to be counting on a Moody field goal to win it. So I said 21-17 Niners. And then I think it was DG, or maybe it was Chuck, was convincing me. I think whoever said first one to 30 wins. I still don't think either team will score 30, but I thought it might be a little closer to 30. So I've kind of been going with 28-24. And I know you didn't really feel like you wanted to do predictions, so don't feel like obligated.
No, but I actually told people that this was going to be the place where I finally gave my actual real prediction for the game.
And don't feel like you have to do it now too. We can string it along till the end of the show.
I'll wait till the end.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to ask, where are these blowout predictions coming from with the Niners Nation? Because I heard somebody this morning, say 55-3 Niners.
Oh,
that was actually on the Dan Patrick show.
Really?
And it was a guest that they had on there. It wasn't a caller. He said 55-3. It would add up to 58, which is the Super Bowl. And of course, we all know the other conspiracies that go with 58, 5 plus 8 equals 13, which is Taylor Swift's favorite number.
Right. It's also Brock Purdy's number.
And then I heard somebody else say today 49ers by 3 touchdowns. And I was like, where is this coming from? we've just decided Patrick Mahomes isn't playing in this game, or what?
Yeah. 4 plus 9 equals 13 too. There's a lot of different ways to get to 13. No doubt about it. I don't know. Like I said, I think Super Bowl week is also super casual week. So you're going to get like crazy talk, reckless talk that you're just not used to because there's people popping out of the woodwork. They don't care about their reputation or anything like that. They're just going to say the silliest stuff. But you said it was on the Dan Patrick show, right?
Yeah, it was
Like
some guest that they have on Radio Row, I think.
that seems somehow more reputable to me, unless he's kind of trying to do the shock jockey, clickbaity, just say stuff to get clicks type of stuff. I don't know.
Well, and it wasn't Dan, but whoever the guy was said that he was a 49ers fan. He admitted that.
And maybe Dan didn't know that he was going to say that too. Did he seem surprised?
He seemed quite surprised, but
Yeah,
I think he was also joking. So Dan kind of laughed it off.
Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe when you start getting all the numerology, sometimes people are like, "Oh yeah, this guy's a kookadoo," but it is fun. I'm big on numerology. For sure. First time I wore my jersey, we lost to Cleveland, wore it to barbecue, uncle died. Oh, geez. Wore it a few weeks. Our burner went to the hospital, my son, wore it blown out. Yeah, that's so it wasn't just a one-time loser. We're talking like 1, 2, 3, like 4-time loser, that jersey. So good riddance. Took it off at halftime of the Lions game. I understand the message. It's gone. Boom. Love it. Alex Givens in the house. He was on earlier this week. Everybody make sure you check out his channel. They're going to be 30 points put up on KC's defense, LOL. Well, no team has so far this season, but the 49ers offense is better than any other offense you guys have played, except for, you could say, the Dolphins. But Tua, pretty famously, had never played in colder than 20-degree weather, and that was in high school. Right, obviously not in Alabama, or the SEC. So I don't know how much to make of that. I mean, obviously you guys almost blanked them, right? You guys beat them like 30-7 or 24-7, something crazy like that. I think they only scored 7 points, the Dolphins, if I recall. But bottom line is, I don't know, Niners offense. I'm not saying we can't do it. I wouldn't predict it. But if any team could do it, I mean, we scored over 30, I think like 11 times this season. Not against any defense as good as the Chiefs, but, Jags have a decent defense. Cowboys have a decent defense. Eagles have a decent D-line. I don't know. Their linebackers and secondary are a little bit suspect. But, I like that as a prediction, Alex. I mean, I just wouldn't say ain't. I'd say unlikely. Randy says double. I don't know what that is. Same can be said of Niners defense too. No, we've given up some. I mean, especially in the playoffs with the Packers. It wasn't a ton of points, but it was a real bad first half. And same thing with the Lions. And the Lions scored 31. And they have a really good offense. They have a really good offensive line. I've been saying I think the Lions O-line is clearly better than the Chiefs O-line. And the Packers, they don't have the stars like a Creed Humphrey or a Joe Tooney, but they, a line. I always say a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and O-line really fits that bill for me. And I worry, if I was a Chiefs fan, I'd worry a little bit about your tackles, about Donovan Smith and Juwan Taylor.
And I think we are. I do think one of the biggest losses for us is sounding more inevitable is that Joe Tooney's probably not playing in this game.
Yeah, it sounded like a real long shot.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, though, at least you're saying he has been ruled out 100%. So they're saying there's a chance, right? So we'll see. Little Spongy says I'm only here so I don't get fined. Attaboy. I'm with you. 65. Oh, Randy, come on. I know you don't mean that. Chiefs haven't given up greater than 28 points all year. No, I'm not arguing that. I said, yeah, that they hadn't given up. Oh, I said, you're just correcting me. I said, haven't given up 30. You said, not. So they haven't given up 29 either. Okay, there you go. That, like I said, you haven't played the Niners offense. We have the best group of weapons in football. Purdy, I don't think he's quite elite, but I think he's better than a game manager, especially his ability to hit the 10 to 19-yard passes and now the deep throws that he seems to have solidified this season. Also, he's running farther than he used to. When he takes off, he used to get caught right away, and now he's peeling off some big runs too. And to the point where I think that I'm pretty sure the Lions were spying him at the end of the game, and that just takes a set of eyes off of our weapons. So, and he says things happen for the first time all the time. That's true. Yeah, I mean, such and such hasn't happened till it happens. That's definitely true. I would just say though, like Chiefs D's look good in the playoffs. I think they've only given up 3 points total in 3 fourth quarters. So an average of 1 point per quarter, if you average that out, which is pretty wild. And obviously they're great against pass rush, pressures, sacks. DBs are really good. Linebackers are really good in general. Bolton's good. And I guess you guys are getting Willie Gay back, right? Is he?
Yeah, I believe
go?
Willie Gay is going to be playing. Bolton is not very popular for a lot of reasons right now in Kansas City. He hasn't been playing well since he got injured earlier this season. They're going to need a healthy dose of Drew Tranquill, if we're being honest, because Drew Tranquill's our only guy in that linebacking core who's actually borderline elite against the run. He's very good against the run. So I would say I would rather see Tranquill out there than Bolton for this game, more or less.
Interesting. And I've heard he's also your best pass coverage linebacker too, right?
He's quite good all around.
Huh. He's the former San Diego Charger, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Yeah, Bolton does get cooked a lot in coverage, and he's been a liability more than something we can rely on in this postseason.
There you go. Alex says they shut down Miami and Germany too, though.
We did.
There you go.
We shut Miami down both times.
Was Waddle playing? Because Waddle missed some games, right, this season?
I don't. Well, I think actually Waddle was playing in both games. I believe.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
I know he was playing.
Pretty sure he was playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty sure too. Huh. Interesting. And it was like a home game for the Chiefs there, right? There's a lot of Chiefs fans.
Well, and it was actually one of our home games in an official capacity.
Technically. All right. There you go. While we're talking about that and fans traveling is interesting, they said, like, who has the best fans, Chiefs or 49ers? And I said 49ers travel better than any other NFL team. And all of these people came in and were like, oh, you guys didn't fill your stadium when you were bad. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not talking about that. But second of all, it's just funny to see. And who it was, there were some Chiefs fans. But I'll tell you, the fan base that seemed the most triggered by it was the Packers. They were really up in arms. There were a ton of Packers fans responding in there. And a lot of people denying it, saying, oh, it's the Steelers or it's, the Packers or some other teams. And I was like, no, I've got the vivid data here where it says we, on average, filled 48% of opposing stadiums, which is pretty ridiculously high. Some of those were bad teams, that weren't going to fill it with their own fans. But some of it, like the Rams, like, we're getting like 60-40 in their stadium as a division rival, which is pretty crazy. See, KC put up 30 points 3 times this season. We've done it 11. There you go. Yep. So, I mean, Chiefs offensive line is elite outside of offensive tackles, which is the exact opposite of what you want. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say Allegretti's elite, but he's really good for a backup. I'll give him that. But clearly Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey are elite.
Yeah, yeah. Allegretti is good though. He's more than serviceable. Um,
Sounds like
but
he's
no,
been doing really well.
our offensive line has been actually pretty good this year, outside of some of the penalties that happen from our tackles. Joe Tooney's been all pro when he's been in, but like I said, that's just not looking like that's going to happen this go around.
It's tough when you tear your pec. It's not something
Hmm.
you come back from quickly. Man coverage is out the in window. Purdy will just bolt. I hope so because the Chiefs love to play man coverage, right?
Spags honestly is really good for mixing it up depending on the game.
Okay.
He's kind of like the Bill Belichick in the fact that he wants to take away that one thing that you're good at. When you talk about what Spags has done with the defense, especially in this postseason, it's been incredible. People want to talk about all the yards that we gave up on the ground to the Bills, and I think that was by design. I think that was entirely by design. I think Spags made a commitment on that one that said, "Hey, you can beat us on the ground, but Allen's arm isn't going to beat us."
Take away Stephon Diggs essentially.
Take away Diggs, and Diggs had a terrible game, by the way.
He had a
And
huge
take
drop.
and take away Allen's arm.
Yeah.
He can have his legs, but we're going to take his arm away, I think is what Spags said.
And then Trent Sherfield had two huge drops, which isn't as surprising because he's sort of a backup level wide receiver. He's definitely not, a clear starter anywhere. Alex Green Bolton gets cooked in coverage sometimes. Not to mention he had to go right. He had the pick go right through his hands last game.
Did.
Really against the Ravens.
Hmm.
Dink and dunk first half. Run it down their throat second half.
I honestly hope that that the coaching staff for the 49ers is underestimating our defense as much as your chat is. That would be highly beneficial for us. So
Yeah. Hopefully Kyle's not. We'll see. But I think you got to run in the first half. But that's just me. But like you said, that's probably the thing that Spags will try to take away. Wouldn't be surprised to see 8 guys in the box or maybe even 9, like what he did in the Super Bowl. The difference is, though, that was Jimmy Garoppolo,
yeah.
not Brock Purdy. Not to mention, okay, got that one already. Can't recall, but Tyreek got stripped, which was housed. Poetic justice.
Yeah, he got stripped and that went back for a touchdown. We did give up a touchdown to Tyreek, I believe, but that strip was very much felt like poetic justice for as much as he is has he's like to run his mouth about the Chiefs since he left. So that was I guess they call that Schadenfreude, where
Yep,
we rejoice in the misery of somebody else.
nothing wrong with that. They don't call me Super Petty Teddy on the timeline for nothing. So. um, I was trying to think of who was saying a lot. You know who said a lot of bad things on the way out from the Niners was Mostert, another Dolphin, which is kind of interesting. But then more recently, he seems to be rooting for the Niners again. So maybe time heals all wounds type of thing. I don't know. Or he has bad blood with the Chiefs because of Tyreek. I don't know. And because of the Super Bowl. Okay, that would be why too. Um, he was obviously our main back in Super Bowl 54. Yeah, Purdy being mobile is a problem. Not for us. But Mahomes being mobile is a problem too. Kyle seems way too relaxed. You think he's seen something he can exploit? Well, I think he's been exploiting a little tequila or brewskis before the press conferences. He definitely seems like he's been buzzed a little bit. So I think that could be part of it. Go ahead,
Well,
Curtis.
I was going to ask what there's something that is I haven't quite been able to get caught up on because I've just been living busy. I'm lucky I'm able to stop by today. Um, what's been going on with the field drama? I know there's been some real negative things said about the Chiefs organization and their response to it, but I just would like to know, kind of from your perspective, what's happened with the whole field drama, what's been going
I
on with that.
mean, the UNLV field where the Niners were practicing is shoddy condition. There was like some talk of like, oh, well, if the Chiefs could just alter their schedule, we could share. Chiefs said no, and a lot of people are mad at the Chiefs, but really, you should be mad at the NFL, for setting it up this way. If we were the Chiefs, we'd probably do the same thing, if I'm being honest. So
Yeah.
I would take every advantage I could get, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's the way you should do it. If you have an advantage, exploit it, just like we were saying. Speaking of exploiting, so I don't know. I don't think it's the end of the world. I also think part of it was some rain that they had. So if it's been clear, then maybe it's getting better since then. There's been less and less talk about it recently, and I haven't heard any like alternative solutions being offered. So maybe it was just something that was a big deal a few days ago and is not as big a deal now, or maybe it was never that big a deal.
Gotcha. Well, I'm really surprised to hear you say that there's reason to believe Shanahan has been maybe a little buzzed at his press conferences. I'm just surprised. I understand it's a big party, anyways, but
Oh yeah, it's been the talk of some of our content creators. One of them said that he was, a security guard, and he's dealt with a lot of people that were inebriated in one form or another. And he was saying if Kyle had driven, there might have been issues. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to segue into that, but I guess, and we don't have to be honest.
as long as he's not driving.
Yeah, as long as he's not driving. Yeah, don't drink and drive, folks. Absolutely. I did have a buddy have a funny text about that where he said, like, man, some people will do anything to not have to spend time with Taylor Swift. And I was like,
I heard that one too.
so bad. I almost tweeted it because he texted it to me, and I was like, no, I can't do that. I don't want the Swifties after me. That's a battle. That's one battle I don't know if I can handle out there on the mean timeline. By the sounds of opening night, you can class this as a home game. Maybe. I mean, like I said, the Niners do travel the best of any team in the NFL. But I remember I thought that might be the case in Miami, and it seemed like it was pretty even in Miami. What did you think, Curtis?
I thought they said Chiefs fans actually had, out of the public release tickets at the Miami game, Chiefs fans had over 60% of the tickets.
Okay. All right.
I do remember that at the end of the national anthem, you definitely heard "In the Home of the Chiefs," which I know that offends a fair amount of people.
Do whatever you do at your home stadium. Yeah, I think our being the number one traveling team has come about quite a bit largely since then, because I don't think we nearly were in 2019. So, but the other thing too is like I could see where it could be like 40% Niners, 30% Chiefs, and like 30% other. Just because there's so many people who buy tickets before they even know who's playing, and there's so much corporate money and stuff like that. People that aren't really fans of either team, to be honest. But I don't know, we'll see.
I think I read a couple years ago that something over 30% of the tickets are already designated for corporations.
Yeah,
Like, it's a huge portion of the tickets.
It is, and those people definitely don't cheer the same way as rabid fans do.
No.
Shame. Bryant Culp in the house saying smash the like button. Thanks everybody. Please like and subscribe. Make sure you check out Bryant's channel too, and his wife Tony. They do great work. Randy says KC lowballed Reek 11 million lower than Miami. Uh-oh. Somebody
gonna mute myself for a second.
Little doggo cameo. That's fine. Is that true, Randy? I don't know. 30. I mean, so I think the Dolphins gave him 31, and you're saying the Chiefs only offered Tyreek 20. I don't know. That seems a little low because Debo got 22. I would imagine the Chiefs would have offered him 23 or 24. But do you remember what the Chiefs offered? It's probably not public knowledge anyway, right? I mean, really,
I don't remember, but from what I heard, it was not that big of a gap.
yeah. 11 seems ridiculously big. Mostert family was being attacked. Yeah. Raheem Mostert injured his meniscus against the Lions, the same game where Jason Verrett retore his ACL for the second time, or tore his ACL, for the second time. And Mostert decided to get the meniscus repair, which kind of put him out for the whole season, compared to having it shaved and come back a few weeks later. And that's up to the players, right? Mostert's an older back, but he didn't have the same wear and tear as most older backs because he didn't have very many carries until Kyle gave him a chance. So he was sort of like a 28-year-old or 29-year-old in like a 24-year-old's body. But yeah, no, it's a shame what happened. There were death threats. It was awful. And it's just like, those people aren't going to go out and take care of you if you get that shave of your meniscus and then it shortens your career and then nobody's going to take a chance on you anymore and pay you. Those people aren't going to be there to pay you, Raheem. So I'm always a big fan of players doing what's best for themselves. It's a violent sport and nothing's guaranteed. And most of these guys are cripples as they get older. And so get what you can while you can. And if you think that having the meniscus repair will lengthen your career, because I mean, look what he did this season, right? I think it's a perfect example of like, I mean, he was up there with CMC for a while with TDs and, yards as well. He wasn't too far behind. So hats off to Raheem. I'm happy for him. We got Pedro in the house. We do our Monday show. I voted for Pedro show. Niners DNA and Aussie channel. He says, we're not underestimating anything, mate. I think we use a similar scheme to the Eagles game. Ready for the run, but locked down man pressure. Yeah, we definitely need to mush rush Mahomes the same way we mush rushed Hurts, which is edges don't go past QB depth. And when they get there, they just wait for reinforcements to arrive. When everybody's there, then everybody pounce all at once when there's got him surrounded and there's no way for him to sneak out and extend the play with his legs or sneak out and throw the ball to probably a wide open guy after extending the play.
Niners DNA, I was more responding to the fact that people are giving, estimates or predictions on the game of like 55-3 for the 49ers. That is seriously underestimating that defense.
Yeah,
and as far as the interview with Tyreek, he said a lot of stuff that wasn't entirely true and above board about the Chiefs organization since he's left. So, I mean, I also think he actually talked about the difference in contracts shortly after he left, and I think he said something very different at the time, if my memory serves. So
there you go. We'll circle back to that, what people say when they leave, because there was an interesting quote I saw. Well, let's just talk about it now, and we'll get to Randy in a second here. Mooney Ward said, like, basically everything's better about the 49ers. And I'm just like thinking, well, everything except for we don't have a damn ring, buddy. I mean, and we might get that this Sunday. I get it. And I get, that, Chiefs lowballed him a little bit and we paid him market value. But it just shows that, I don't know. I don't know how you could look at what the Chiefs have done the last few years and look at what we've done and be like, oh, the Niners do everything better.
I think you're pointing out that he's being a little disingenuous, and I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Everything is better.
He got his ring with you guys, and so
right.
He just wanted to get paid, and he did, and that's great. But nobody ever wants to say that, right? Nobody ever wants to say, oh, well, the Niners ponied up and the Chiefs didn't. But I think that's really what was going on. If we had a brain scanner to actually see what they're really thinking versus what they're actually saying.
Sure.
Randy said, didn't work well in Lamar, I don't think, Pedro. As far as the mush rush, yeah, because Chase Young coming off the right edge, or well, the defensive right, I should say, went deeper than Lamar. And Lamar stepped up to his left, and Chase Young almost sacked him, but he didn't. And then Lamar peeled off his longest run of the game. And it happened again later in the game where I accused Chase Young of doing it, but it was actually Cleveland Farrell went a little too deep. Lamar leaked out to the left again, same way. But instead of running, he threw it to Aguilar for their second or third touchdown of the game. And so, and Lamar, let's face it, Lamar is a lot more elusive than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a very powerful runner, but Lamar can make people miss. I think he's kind of up there like Barry Sanders-ish almost of these like all-time greats of just the ability to stop and start on a dime. So luckily Patrick Mahomes, he's a really good scrambler, but I wouldn't say he's on Lamar's level.
I don't think any Chiefs fan would try to argue that he's better about that than Lamar.
Yeah, he's one of one, and not just of this generation. I mean, he's kind of one of one all time. I mean, I guess Michael Vick might be in there, but even Michael Vick, I don't think he was fast, but I don't think he had the quicks, just the ability to stop and start and just juke people. It's just crazy. Pedro says it's a good sign. With Kyle, he's fine. There you go. He's comfortable. Bryant Lee, Raheem's family. Bryant is the nicest guy ever. He would never harass a player. He brought it up, so I get it. Respect. Randy, stop it. Sorry, I think it was 12. Oh, stop. So he said $11 million delta, and now he's saying 12. That you guys lowballed him by 12. No.
Yes, definitely go out of your way to believe everything Tyreek Hill says.
Yeah, exactly. It was only the opening night. Oh, of the Super Bowl. Yeah, I get it. Commission tickets used to be way less. Yeah, my buddy, his ticket, he paid 8 G's, and then he paid 2,000 in service fee to Ticketmaster on top of that, which is crazy. Tyreek wanted 70. Oh, okay. So 12 million over 3 years. Okay, that's different, or 2 years, I guess. That's different than per. We were going off average annual value, AAV. Then you might be right, Randy. That makes a little more sense. Curtis in here, Sandover. Yeah, that's the other thing to always keep in mind. I just watched the interview with Reek. 65. Oh, stop. All right. Now he's just playing with you because you said 55. Now he's going 65. But he did spot you 7 points there, though, to get you to 10. On the Ward thing, what was he supposed to say? It's worse? LOL. No, but you could say they're both great organizations. We're the 2 best teams of the last 5 years. We just haven't won a ring. But 4 NFC championships and a Super Bowl appearance is the best of any NFC team by far, and best of any AFC team not named the Chiefs. So,
and I think being grateful that the Chiefs gave him his start to his career is not a disingenuous thing for him to say in that moment either. But
yeah, again, was he a late round draft pick?
He was. I don't know. Yeah, he was later round. I forget what round it was, but do you know his story about his childhood and how he was never supposed to be able to play football?
Oh, wow.
He had some kind of issue with his legs, a health condition that had him wheelchair bound for much of his childhood.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was never supposed to play football ever, let alone get to anywhere near the NFL. I don't remember where I watched. I think it was one of the Chiefs have a really active media department to do all sorts of cool little shows. And I think they did a spotlight on him and his story, and they did it like almost like documentarian style, but it was only like 23 minutes. But yeah, no, he has a heck of a story if you get a chance to check that out.
There you go. And Alex says him saying that is one thing. Tyreek actually goes out of his way to speak on the Chiefs. It's never anything positive. I think he does the exposure for his pod and brand, though. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to say that it was equal or anything like that. I just was trying to say that here's somebody on the 49ers, saying it. I don't know if I'm buying it, because I just like I kind of didn't buy it when some of the stuff. No, the fan stuff with Mostert and I bought, And I guess we tried to get him to play when he was injured or something. I don't know. But I don't always believe all that stuff, is what I'm trying to say. Especially when a team can't afford to pay somebody and another team can. A lot of times people will say things about that team that spent more, even if it's not 100% true. Carcast in the house saying, yo, what's up? Check out his channel, everybody. Give him a like and subscribe. And Randy says, I would believe Reek before I believe Kansas City Chiefs lawyers. When have you ever seen a Kansas City Chief lawyer speak? I don't think I ever have. So Randy's just trying to get your goat. He can be good at that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the matchups. And when I say matchups, like you think Niners offense against Chiefs defense, that would be the natural assumption. But I'm talking more about just like the comparisons between the teams. Obviously, I think we all agree Mahomes is better than Brock Purdy, but there's some spicier ones. Chris Jones versus Bosa. I think there's some controversy there.
I think that's a really interesting one. I was actually, before you started the show up, I was talking with my wife about it. I said that's the one I struggle with probably the most, because it's not a one-to-one comparison. One is a defensive end and one is a defensive tackle.
Right.
So it's not a straight up, orange to orange comparison, but they both largely do the same thing, and their job is to get to the quarterback.
Yes.
I think unquestionably, and I'm gonna say this, is some Chiefs fans won't be happy about it, but right now Bosa is the better player. He is a step above where Chris Jones is at. Chris Jones has played very good this year. He's definitely earned his next big contract. But Bosa's been on another planet, in my opinion.
Well, nobody's going to accuse us of being homers after this, so I could tell you that. Because I was going to say that Chris Jones is better. In fact, I even posted it. I did a top 10 players of the Super Bowl. And I should probably try and pull that up. But I remember I had Chris Jones right above Bosa. Just because Bosa this season hasn't been quite as good as usual because he held out. And he only had like 2 practices before we went to see the Steelers for opening day there in Pittsburgh. And the season just hasn't been quite as good. We started to see a little bit in the second half of the Lions game where he had a couple sacks, including some that like knocked them out of field goal range and stuff. But yeah, I would say he just hasn't been quite himself this season. But I guess you're saying Chris Jones hasn't either. I guess he was injured opening day, I remember.
No, he wasn't injured. Chris Jones was holding out.
Oh, holding out. That's right.
In fact, I think he told his agents to go kick rocks after the week 1 loss to the Detroit Lions because it was a 1-point loss. And I think we can all probably guess that that game would have been a little different if Chris Jones had been playing. Travis Kelce was injured in that game.
There
he didn't play in that game.
Out. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, again, hold out. Yeah. And then when you hold out, your seasons a lot of times aren't as good. Turns out those like OTAs and training camp and preseason, like they help even for the superstars. It helps. So it hurts to not do it. Absolutely. Let's see here. Alberto Soto in the house says, okay, are you going to base this on season or overall? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could do both. Like overall, I might say Bosa is a little better than Chris Jones, but I felt like this season maybe Chris Jones was better, but I think Curtis is saying the opposite. So
I think it's a toss up. As far we're already talking about a game that I don't know, what is it, a 2-point betting odds game?
Last I checked, yeah,
I think it's still
it was
2.
kind of holding steady all week at that, so I assume but
which is Vegas's way of saying this is a pick'em matchup. I think it's the same thing when you're talking about the talent between Bosa and Jones. It's pick'em. They're both phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They are both phenomenal, no doubt about it. Other matchups would be CMC versus Pacheco. That's a tough one. I mean, tough to say that it's not CMC. Pacheco is really good. He's a very powerful runner. He's faster for sure. But just when you combine the pass catching ability of CMC, it's tough to beat him. And he was the rushing crown this season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. CMC's better. I don't know if you remember, Ted, when I was doing a podcast weekly, what the week that CMC got traded to the Niners, what my bold prediction was. My bold prediction that week was I said he would have 3 all-purpose touchdowns for 187 yards, and he had 1 passing, 1 catching, 1 rushing for 183 yards.
That was the week after he was traded, though.
Or the week after. It was the one that when I knew he was going to be playing.
When he had a full week of practice.
Yes.
Instead
I
of
said that's what his stats would
1.5
be.
practices against you guys, where he barely knew any of the plays and kind of ran out of plays for him in the second half. Yeah, there you go. Pedro says, I will say that if we fall behind against the Chiefs the same way we did against the Lions, it's almost over. Never say never, but Spags isn't letting that happen. I agree, and neither is Mahomes. Mahomes will not crumble the way Love and Goff did. And Goff didn't totally crumble. It was also Reynolds had the huge 4th down drop and another huge drop in that game after being so clutch in the playoffs for them against the Rams and the Bucks. He was tearing it up. They made Mahomes underdog because of the record that he has betting with him. All right. Hopefully, if we put up a lead, we'll never get run down. I'm so nervous. Yeah, I'm definitely nervous too. This is it's gonna be a heavyweight fight. Even though I'm picking us to win, I mean, when a game's close, anything can happen. So you never know what might happen for sure. Or Kyle might forget to run the ball like he did at the end of the last time we played them in the Super Bowl. Chiefs O-line versus 49ers O-line.
I would go 49ers O-line at this stage, especially with the injury to Thuney and with our 2 tackles' inability to stay away from penalties. I would definitely see your guys' O-line beats out the Chiefs.
And then as far as blanking on his name here for a second, Juwan Taylor. His grandmother just passed away recently. Do you think that has any effect? Do you think he plays inspired because of it, or he's down the dumps, or no effect?
I hadn't heard that, but I think that if you have a trigger happy offensive lineman, them playing inspired might make them more trigger happy, and I wouldn't necessarily see that as a good thing. That might I guess boost him to actually play like he's supposed to, like he's paid to play. I don't know if that's going to have an impact really at all, but I don't know.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, food for thought. I was just curious to get your input. If you guys don't think the bookies and mob lawyers affect football, seriously, that's how. Oh, I've always said like NFL isn't necessarily fixed; it's just more like facilitated. We know that Snyder paid refs $2 million, not for the Commanders to win, but for them to stay within the point spread and not lose by too much. So no, we know that stuff happens. It's just you just hope it doesn't happen Sunday, or if it does, that you can play through it. I mean, sometimes players play so inspired that the refs can't do anything. I've seen Steph Curry do it. I've seen great players just overcome the refs. Klay Thompson did it against OKC. Now I'm aggressively rubbing my brow. Uh-oh. Is Randy nervous? In disappointment. Oh, no. Sorry, Randy. Don't be disappointed. No, we're agreeing with you, at least a little bit. Or at least I am. I don't know. I'm a kind of a tinfoil hat conspiracy guy. So I love to hear a good conspiracy theory. As far as other matchups, I think Niners linebackers, I think that's a pretty easy win for the Niners.
Yeah, can we borrow yours for our next game?
You can next season, not for Sunday though. DBs, I definitely give the edge to Kansas City.
I agree.
Snead, McDuffie, Reed, Gibson's real good. Well, we got Mooney, Lenore, and Gibson are all real good, but Ambry Thomas is weak, and I think you guys really like Watson. And I don't know much about your second safety though. Who is your free safety, right? Reed is your strong safety, if I'm not mistaken.
Our second safety. See, I was realizing as I was looking at
Mike
this that I
Edwards.
haven't. Yeah, Mike Edwards. I haven't spent too much time on the safeties this season, so I'm going to be out of my depth
Ah, okay,
there. Uh,
okay,
I know much
well,
more about
fair.
the rest of the secondary and pretty much every other position on the team, but
There you go. Yeah, no, there's a lot of money going around, especially like DraftKings and all that too. It's wild. I don't know about our worst unit, but it's just crazy because we have Trent Williams who's so good, but then all the rest of the guys are kind of like half O linemen. Banks doesn't pass block well. Brendel doesn't run block well. Feliciano doesn't pass block well, and McKivitz doesn't run block well. But McKivitz, I heard some people say McKivitz played well against the Lions. I don't know. I maybe I didn't notice it, but we'll see. So you're giving. So I'm going Chiefs again. We're split.
well, and Niners
You're
DNA, just to tell you exactly what the Chiefs' offensive line is dealing with, is our interior offensive line has been good. Our two tackles have been atrocious, and have cost us so many yards in games. And then as far as our interior line, we only have two of our regular starters on that interior line right now because Tooney's not going to be playing on Sunday.
and he's arguably the best one, or Creed Humphrey might
He
be.
is. Creed
Yeah,
Humphrey's great. That's pretty much our line. Our the best part of our line right now is our center.
yeah, he's amazing. Special teams against special teams. I mean, you go first, but
I think Kansas City has one of the more elite special teams units. Between our long snapper, our kicker, and our punter, I would say our punter has been a little disappointing the last few weeks, but Butker's money.
yeah, Butker is way better than Moody. Uh, somebody I like this, or somebody said another meaning for Moody is unpredictable. Um, so we love our punter, we love our long snapper, but Moody is the weak link for sure. So I'll give Casey the edge there, and then I mean I think the battle royale, the one we've all been waiting for, is Kittle versus Kelsey. And do you say Kelsey or Kels? Because I have a creator who I work with who's just dying to call him Kels.
The two brothers have said, and they have confirmed that their last name was pronounced Kels, but their father let them believe for years that it was Kelsey because he didn't want to correct people. So they actually grew up believing that it was Kelsey, but it was actually Kels.
But you
So
call him Kelsey,
I stick with
right?
Kelsey.
Me too. Me too. Just want to make sure.
So
All
I'm not
right.
gonna pick one between those two guys.
No, yeah, it's the PFF had him as a draw too. I'll give it a tie. That's fair. And then did you want to do your score prediction? We're getting short on time here, so I
Yeah,
don't want to.
yeah. Honestly, it's a pick 'em matchup. I think that both teams are good, but I'm not going to allow even my Kansas City Chiefs to gaslight me. They have not been a good team all year long. They just haven't. And the fact that they flipped some kind of switch coming into the playoffs is great, but this is too talented of a roster. I'm actually going to stick with nobody's getting over 30. The 49ers take it 27-24.
I was really close to my prediction, 28-24. So, but you got us getting two, or maybe we missed an extra point, not get two field goals. Maybe 27 makes some sense. Randy says Moody is not unpredictable. He means that in a bad way. Like he can predict badness. But Bryant loves Moody, so he's going to be very unhappy about that. Moody is legit. Anyway, so I know you got to get rolling here. Anything you got going on coming up that you want to promote? Anything like that?
No, no, I'm potentially in the talks of maybe starting a podcast up again. But
Nice.
that they were not even close to really even talking about that or announcing that. So I hope I'm wrong this Sunday, but as I've said on the Rich Eisen show, I make my picks to be right. I don't make them to support my biases.
There you go. You're a good man, not being a homer. I love it. I was just gonna say, Pedro's saying, imagine the game on Moody's shoulders. Well, somebody played this hypothetical and they said, all right, Ted, you know, Niners have the ball on, say, like the 30, I don't know, 38 yard line, 8 seconds to go, down by 2. How you feeling? So it's like a 50+ yard field goal, maybe 55. And, I think Moody's probably a little above 50% on those. He's probably 60 or 70% on those. So, like, I'm feeling better at that point than I am at kickoff when I think it's kind of 50-50 coin flip. So, honestly, it is different when it's a game-winning field goal, obviously, and there's more chance of choking and getting iced and all that. I get it. But even still, I think it's better than 50-50. And so, like, I'm feeling better at that point in the game, depending on Moody, than at the beginning of the game where it's 50-50, where I think it's a 50-50 coin flip for the game. But I know you got to get rolling here, Curtis, so thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for everybody who tuned in. Make sure you check him out. He's at Nuttree TV on Twitter and X, and his Twitch handle is in the description of the show. And we'll all be looking forward to your new podcast. Make sure you let me know. I'll help publicize it and get the word out.
Appreciate it, man. You guys have a great one.
All right. Take care, everybody. I'll say peace and go Niners.